anymore. Straight into it.
I really don't love that. I'll be honest
Not
with you.
dicking around. No dicking around.
Why does it not do a countdown?
I turned it off.
Why? That kind of made my week. It was like I was just putting me in the zone.
I just figured there were multiple times where we started riffing and then we had to stop mid-riff to wait for the countdown, and I didn't like that. Yeah, I don't like derailing our riffs, you know?
That's fair.
Riff off the jump now.
I'm kind of on a White Claw kick right now, so I'm going to be drinking White Claws. I just don't want anybody to make a comment about it, Trey.
I mean, why would you even
pour it into another?
Why are you drinking White Claws?
I'm trying to watch my carb or caloric intake. I'm not sure which one, but it's one of those. So, yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Then just drink light beer like you already do. Just drink a couple less.
Do they taste good?
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Just get a different seltzer and I won't make fun of you. But like White Claws specifically it's just kind of shitty.
Well, I used to really like Trulies, but then like they kind of went off the deep end. They tried too hard. They started making obscure flavors that were not good. Do you guys like my Riley and Ruby shirt?
No, I can't really see it, but that's sick. Wow, amazing.
Yeah. Dog
Very
dad,
nice,
dog dad move right there.
Dog dad over here. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Totally Biased Music. It's Blake, Trey, and Anthony, and today we are doing Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan. I drew Blues album for my Wheel of Fate and Time pick, so I wanted to go down Stevie Ray Vaughan. Interesting factoid: first TBM '80s album.
Yep. Solid one to start with.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty crazy, right? Because it doesn't feel like an '80s album because it's good. So
right. I was going to say that, but you kind of took it from me.
Mixes it up a little bit. And then Trey had us watch The Godfather, which was my first Godfather watch. So I'm very, very interested to talk about that once we get into it. But yeah, Anthony and I did a Jimi Hendrix album many months back. Which album did we do, Anthony? Was it Electric Ladyland?
No, it was the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Jimi Hendrix Experience, yeah. So we talked blues, rock and roll. I think that Stevie is widely regarded as a blues artist. He's my favorite blues artist. He's probably my favorite guitar player ever. And this is his debut album, one of my favorite albums. And if you guys did not know this album was recorded in 3 days in 1983. So the whole album, it was put together in 3 days. And Stevie wrote 6 of the 10 songs. So yeah, I love this album. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm really excited to talk about it. There's some really, really good gems on here. Really difficult for me to pick a bottom, I'll be honest. I may cheat a little bit. I may only have 2. But it was nice to jump back in here and give it a spin. And I think Stevie does a really good job of blending what would be rock and blues rock in this album, because there are some songs that are blues rock and blues, because there are some songs that are just straight blues music, right? Doesn't have any rock aspects to it at all. And there are some songs that are kind of in between, songs like Pride and Joy, right, which everybody knows, Lenny, some other songs like that. So I'll be interested to hear y'all's take on it, but big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and I think that he's the best ever. And we had a debate last time, who was better between Jimmy and Stevie. So real quick, before we get into it, Trey, you need to pick a side right now, Stevie or Jimmy?
Jimi Hendrix.
Yep,
okay, yep. Anthony, Stevie or Jimmy?
Stick with Jimmy.
All right, I'm the lone wolf out here. But Trey, had you listened to this album before? Was it your first go? What'd you think?
I definitely listened to Stevie Ray Vaughan before. I don't know if I ever sat down and listened to this front to back. I enjoyed it a lot. I particularly enjoyed the instrumental tracks, the ones where he doesn't sing as much. I don't love his voice, if I'm being real with you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's got that, it's a regular, like, blues voice. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's some tracks, all of my top tracks, I think, are instrumentals or limited singing on them, just because those are the ones I like the most. That's why we call them top tracks. So I'm just kind of talking in the loop now. Yep. So, Anthony, what do you think?
He's got a very real quick. He's got a very Texas voice, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Little southern twang to it almost. Is interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting listen. I don't find myself listening to blues music regularly at all. In fact, I don't think I had listened or even had blues music in my head since we did the Dewey Cox story, Walk Hard. And like it was hard for me to not like just start laughing and thinking of Dewey Cox, sawing his brother in half. But it was fun. I the only way I knew Stevie Ray Vaughan was from people talking of him, and I believe Pride and Joy was on Guitar Hero back in the day.
Definitely,
yeah, it was that track, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my only real knowledge of him and of his work. So I really enjoyed kind of just seeing the different paths he could take musically. And I did find myself gravitating towards the instrumentals. And I think just naturally now in this, 33-year-old brain, I do start to gravitate towards that because it's more open-ended versus as concrete as a song with lyrics is. But yeah, first time listening to this album, did notice it was the first 80s album. So I think that is a good tone setter potentially for future 80s albums. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good pick, and I'm excited to kind of hopefully you drop some knowledge on me or on us about Stevie Ray Vaughan and just, I don't know, interesting facts about him. But yeah, excited to go down it.
Yeah, I thought I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I thought it was really interesting how similar. I don't know if you guys recognized it, but Pride and Joy and I'm Crying are so similar in like their song structure. It almost feels like he started with Pride and Joy and then kind of kept going and added different lyrics almost to make I'm Crying because they're so similar. Right. But I really love those songs because, like I said, it doesn't sound like an 80s rock song to me, right? It sounds like a blues rock song that's was very different for the time. And it did go platinum in Canada, double platinum in the United States, so over 2 million units sold, which I think is pretty crazy. That early on, 1983, to be in a totally different genre, totally different lane, and be able to sell records like that. And he was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2021. So not that I give a shit about the Grammys, but still
surely
cool.
He's
still
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too, right?
He's got to be.
No way he's not.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. Let's get into top tracks. So Trey, how about you lead us off?
Yeah, sure. First off, you ever been like nostalgic for something you haven't heard before?
Right.
Is that like a thing, you know what I'm talking about? Listening to this threw me back into Gipp's Place. Because this is just like, this is that right to the floor blues music that they played there, and was definitely a nice little trip down memory lane in a way. Like it wasn't necessarily the same songs, but it was like that same vibe. So a lot of the songs that I would like pull into like top tracks, they're instrumentals kind of because they remind me the most, I think, of that time period in my life, or going to those shows out at Gibbs Place. Anyway,
sorry to interrupt you, Trey. What's his full name? Is it Gip Gibson?
It's Gip Gibson. Yeah.
Shout out to the legendary Alabama Birmingham blues artist, man.
Yeah, used to run a real ass juke joint that us kids from the suburbs got to go and experience. We had no right to be there, and we had every right to be there at the same time. It was amazing.
So sick.
Yeah.
BYOB, baby.
Yeah, right.
BYOB, moonshine cherries being passed around, and man, that place is special, dude.
It was.
We were like hella lucky to be able to experience that. Anyway,
what happened to it? Trey? Did the government fucking shut it down and ruin it and ruin everybody's good fucking time? Yeah, they did.
The government did do that because people were complaining about people peeing on their yards. If you didn't want to have
if you don't
on your yard, then don't have a yard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I pee in my yard and I don't even have one. It's a shared grass area with many townhomes. What are they going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. Exactly.
And that's why you're moving.
Exactly.
So my number 3 track I got is Testify. Just an absolute ripper of him just going up and down this fretboard, playing every little blues note imaginable. It clocks in at around like 3.5 minutes. I don't think a single word is said. So yeah, that one is like the rip inside, I feel like, of Stevie Ray Vaughan. And then number 2 for me right after that is Rude Mood, and I think it lives up to its name. I was doing it like just like the bass line, your simple like blues like drums behind it just has you kind of doing that like stank face, you know what I mean, the whole time.
True.
And then my number 1 top track is Lenny. I love how like spacey Lenny is in a lot of ways. How it's like very, very subtle. I think it closes out this album really well, kind of sets you down on a little pillow. I imagine so. Tin Pan Alley is on this Legacy edition. That's not on the actual album, right? Like Lenny's the closer. Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to double check that. But Lenny's an iconic song as well. And just like that little like the thing that he can do.
Yeah, lets it echo, right?
With that high note reminds me of one Trey Anastasio and the way he can kind of hold notes. And I'm sure Trey's quite a fan of Stevie Ray as well. So yeah, those are my top three.
Very nice. Does Trey ever go on any like blues kicks during Fish shows?
Oh yeah. There's a song I almost brought it to Rides or Dies today. There's a song they do called Jesus Just Left Chicago, which is like an old classic blues song. And he shreds blues on that.
That would be so sick. I would bust so hard listening to that. All right, Anthony, what do you got?
All right, so I got a nice little mixture. So we'll start at number 3. I have Dirty Pool. Dirty Pool it was an interesting listen because there's layers to the song. You know, there's a slow back rhythm happening while Stevie does what Stevie does, is walking up and down the fretboard. You know, I mean, literally, he's just plucking, and that balance of the fast picks with that slow rhythm, that's shit I can get down with anytime. So really like that track. My second favorite track, my second top track is Texas Flood. Texas Flood to me gave so much strong John Mayer vibes. And I know obviously he came before John Mayer, but like I immediately after that song, I was like, let me just validate that this guy influenced the shit out of John Mayer. And definitely, even vocally too, you know, his vocals to me, again, in my mind, Stevie Ray Vaughan was an instrumental guy, but I hadn't listened to a lot of his music except for Pride and Joy. So hearing him kind of sing in different songs was very eye-opening to me, but it did give me mad John Mayer vibes, and I mean that in a good way. So
there's a song, I don't know if it's Mary Had a Little Lamb or I'm Crying, but no, it's Mary Had a Little Lamb. Like towards the end, he sounds so much like John Mayer. It's like really crazy to me. Like I was listening to it and had to do like a double take. And was like, oh shit! Like it's very similar. So I'm glad you picked up on that.
I mean,
too.
And surely John Mayer. Well, I don't know. Y'all seen him? Does he do covers of like this era of music or even prior to?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
he does.
It's so appropriate because that. Like this album, though it came out in '83, makes me feel like way prior to that time period. Like this music could be heard in the '60s and the '50s, even, you know. I same reason. I would get so much John Mayer vibes. So I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. So Texas Flood is my number 2 track, and my favorite track on this album should be no surprise, but yeah, Lenny. I mean, perfect way to close out an album. Really just lets it breathe, lets it kind of simmer, and lets it fade out. But yeah, beautiful way to close it, and just really, really spatial and serenity kind of vibes at the end of this album, which goes a lot of different places. So enjoyed it. But yeah, Lenny.
100%. Yeah, Lenny, I was mistaken earlier. Lenny's not one of the songs that sounds rocky. It's Love Struck Baby is the other. Love Struck Baby, Pride and Joy, and I'm Crying are really kind of the rock songs on this album. All right, for me, number 3, I had Dirty Pool. This is what I live for, man. This type of blues guitar, like it's such a special sound to me, and I just get so lost in it. Like I just get so caught up in the sounds, and I do love the lyrics. I love verse 2. You said you'd call the shots, darling. All your friends thought that was so cool. Yeah, but when you shot at the 8-ball, baby, I knew you were playing Dirty Pool. Just so like it's classic bar music, man. Like I'm gonna find a bar you can still smoke cigarettes in, and I'm going to go put this on the jukebox and chief a cig and play some pool to it. You know, I think that's just the perfect environment for it. But man, like he's so like his guitar just has so much emotion to me. And this song is like a prime example of that to me, and the lyrics as well. So very, very special song. And then number 2 to me, so cliche, but Pride and Joy, man. I love this song. Like, and I don't know why, because it's not really what I look for in Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it's like probably the first Stevie Ray Vaughan song that everybody hears from one thing or another. And it's just so like, it's head bobbing, it's happy, it's upbeat, and it's iconic, dude. It's classic, and I love his voice in the song. Kind of the opposite of Trey. Like, this is one of my favorite vocal performances of him, just because it's so iconic and so recognizable and special. So, really love Pride and Joy. And then number one for me, Texas Flood. Texas Flood is the first Stevie Ray Vaughan song that, and I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, to be honest. Probably something to do with this podcast and going back and listening to music like this or something like that. But
it as a ride or die.
Yeah, I may have. But this was the first song that I listened to where I was like, this is my favorite guitar player, like, of all time. It's the way he is ripping on this song, and his vocals are like that scream sing that he does, like when he says, well, it's flooding down in Texas. It's just like, oh, it's beautiful, man. And I just love this song so much. It's like peak Stevie to me. And if I could pick one song to show somebody that's never heard him before, it would be Texas Flood. And it's almost 6 minutes long, which is like perfect because I just never want it to end. So, and it fits the mood in so many different ways. Sunset vibes, nighttime driving vibes, early morning vibes, cup of coffee, throwing Texas Flood on, letting it rip. Yeah. So big fan.
Before we move on, I just want to point out, you kind of nailed that note, brother.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
You kind of hit that. Yeah. Well done.
Been working on my Stevie Ray Vaughan impression this week. So.
Well, that's that classic blues wail, where it's just like you're wailing and your guitar is accompanying you, as far as its note range goes. But it pulls the emotion, and I mean the blues, again, I don't listen to a whole lot, but there's a lot of darkness in the blues, and I think that way to sing and that way to blend music and vocals together just draws it right out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. He was such an eccentric guy. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched any live videos of him, but there's like live videos of him. There's one like really famous one of him getting prepped for a set, and it's like a sound check or whatever, and he's wearing this long fur leopard print coat and a cowboy hat, and he's just like fucking destroying a guitar, and it's like during sound checks when no one's in the venue, and you could tell that he's probably just rocked out of his mind, just going to town on this guitar. It's so cool. Like, he just seemed like such a cool guy.
He had pretty significant like cocaine and drinking problems, right? That's probably how they made the album in 3 days then.
Yeah, big cocaine guy. You can definitely tell. You could absolutely tell.
Is he an animated performer? Like, is he very erratic, like Jimmy-esque, in a sense? Like,
I don't think he's
maybe not that.
I was about to say, I don't know if anybody's like Jimmy, but yeah, he's definitely
Jimmy,
up there
Santana,
for sure.
Stevie Ray's in that wheelhouse somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Santana. Damn, we've never done a Santana album either. That would be interesting to do.
Well, that would be cool.
All right, bottom tracks. Trey, what do you got?
All right, bottom tracks. I only really have 2 true bottom tracks that I like don't enjoy.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna put, for my third one, I'm just putting Love Struck Baby on there, just because like I think it's not super indicative of like the guitar work of the rest of the album. Like, it's a little simple. So I think it kind of like, it's a little soft, whereas something like this, I kind of wanted to come out and punch you in the mouth. But it's not a bad song. But what is a bad song for me is I don't enjoy Pride and Joy. I just like, and I hate to be like a contrarian. I know it's like the hit and things of that nature, but like, I don't know. It's just like at every little thing you're ever at, every dive bar in the world's played it. Like, every wedding has it. Every wedding cover band knows how to play it. It's probably been everyone's first dance song in their first marriage. If it's not their first one, then it's in their second marriage, because in this country we believe in divorce, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're unhappy, you should, go do other things. So,
okay.
All right. Anyway, I'm really counting on divorcees, coming down the pipes.
Right.
Anyway, my number one song that I dislike, maybe it's because we're coming off of Easter and, all of that stuff that's surrounding it. But Mary Had a Little Lamb, like, no thanks, man. Just like, I'm good.
I don't care about Mary or her lamb.
I really don't. And like, I'm just good on this song in general. Like, it's really repetitive. Like, the guitar work, I feel like, is repetitive. Honestly, everything else on the album I really enjoyed, but those two, just not for me.
That's fair. There's a rumor, there's a conspiracy floating around that Jesus is returning soon. So you should be ready for that. And I think what would be really cool if Jesus came back would be like, he just holds a press conference and is like, hey, you guys are all doing this wrong. Like, I'm going to come back in another 2,000 years, and you better have your shit together. Like, just as a heads up, and then he just fucks off again for another 2,000
That'd be
years.
kind of cool. But like, how does he like? How you know how many people say they're Jesus?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
well, Charles Manson was Jesus. I think that was the first
go
iteration.
Out to Colfax Avenue and throw a rock. You'll hit somebody that thinks they're Jesus.
Yeah, true, very true.
I saw a guy.
Anthony,
well, hold on this. I'll add.
I think it's Anthony.
Well, like, I mean, I get it too often, and the last place I want to get it is on Easter, also. But last year, either last year or the year before, I was driving down the highway in Pelham, and it was around Easter, and there was a guy on the side of the road carrying a cross with bloody clothes, and just like all he did was just walk up and down a block for the whole day.
That's not what Jesus did.
No, no.
He walked up a mountain.
Did, right. But,
Anthony drove by and was like, "It's him."
but you had many people stopping to get out and talk to this guy, and I was like, "Man, that's all it takes, I guess, to get some attention around here." But
imagine if you did that. Like, you actually do kind of. Let's be honest. Look a little like Jesus.
Well, but that's the thing. I'd be in way over my head because the attention that I already get because of that is so I don't want to even finish the conversation. If you have somebody who's genuinely believing something like that, oh my God, they would follow you home.
Yeah. Do you ever have spun people at shows come up to you and be like, "You're Jesus"? Like, has that happened to you?
And then nice spun people. I mean, in Bourbon Street, I went to New Orleans a handful of years back, and I had the girls who were outside of the bars, giving shots out that you end up having to pay for, right? Just a word for the wise of people out there who get free shots on Bourbon Street. Yeah, they're gonna rack up a bill. But yeah, I had girls stop me and say, "Hold on, gee, come here," and just I already know where it's going, and I'm like, God, can this be over? And then people that I'm with, like I went a handful of years prior to that with a friend to New Orleans, and she was like, "How often does this happen?" I was like, "Not as often as right now. Just we're in the middle of just character city right now." So
yeah, true.
But yeah, I'm not Jesus, people. So just we can let it go.
That we know of.
Yeah, right.
That we know of.
Okay, so I'll give you.
Anthony Rapture's only people subscribe to the pod.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that was his
just
test.
A couple handfuls of people out there. So get in while you can. But okay, so my bottom tracks, they're the more faster tracks on this album. I would really love, and maybe it's out there, a straight blues. Just draw me in deep and deep. I would love an album just like that. But yeah. So on the contrary, my bottom tracks: Pride and Joy, Love Struck Baby, and I'm Crying. Again, the Pride and Joy was going to be up there just from the sheer amount of times that I have heard it, and not really a choice of mine to hear it. That's up there, and yeah, I caught that too, Blake, of what you were saying, where like I'm Crying almost feels like a reprise to Pride and Joy. It's just a whole different story.
Very similar. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And Love Struck Baby, I got it back to back, into Pride and Joy, but that's honestly made Texas Flood even that much better for me, getting through those two. And It wasn't a struggle, but just getting through those two to really get to the nitty gritty of it, Texas Flood felt so good.
Yeah, fair. For me, I really only had two. So Love Struck Baby is on there. And it's just because, like, for what the rest of the album is, it just is nothing like the rest of the album. Like, the rest of the album is so bluesy to me, and Love Struck Baby feels like a rock song. And I'm sure, like, live, it probably hit like crack. It's probably so much fun to fucking jump around to that song with a crowd, but I just don't like the way it fits in the album. So I had to put it on there. And then, like, unfortunately, I just don't care about Mary or her lamb. And like, we've heard enough stories about Mary and her lamb. And like, I don't know why, like, what he was like, why, like, why is this on here? Why is this the topic of this song?
I mean, there is a tie back, I feel like, especially in like Southern blues culture, it's a tie back to religion, things like that. But that's no excuse. It's really not.
It's not, and I can't imagine Stevie was a particularly religious guy. Like, he doesn't really ever sing about religion, doesn't really ever talk about it, doesn't really act like Christ acted. Not that many people do, but it just, it was just strange, and I don't like it. So gonna have to put that on there. I will say, like, I I'm the complete opposite of Trey. Like Testify and Rude Mood are good songs to me, but I miss his vocals in those songs. Not that I would put him on the bottom because he's absolutely fucking shredding. But I like the songs better when I do get to hear Stevie's voice. So yeah, that's what I had on there.
Nice.
So I told Trey before we started, oddly enough, there's no Pitchfork, no Rolling Stone review of this album. So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts before we go into final rankings? What do you guys got?
Well, I was looking to just confirm, that he's passed away, but he died super young. He was 35 when he died. So like we're almost to Stevie's age. But again, it's like you wish you could see what develops in the future, with a guy like this or an artist like this, because just this first album shows so much diversity in that vein of blues rock or rockabilly or saloon rock or juke joint music, whatever you feel. But I think that it is such a vibe, that this music is meant to be listened and experienced, with a collective of people who are also into that type of music too. But 20 years later, 40 years later in an album format, I mean, there's songs still resonate, which I think speaks so much to his artistry.
Yeah, and honestly, like that video I sent you guys, I don't know if you ended up watching it, but the live David Gilmour performance of Comfortably Numb, like David Gilmour, I don't know how old he is now or how old he was in that performance in 2016, but the dude is still fucking ripping. Yeah. Like, and I have to imagine that Stevie, up until his old age, would still be able to play the way that he was playing now or playing back then. And it would have been so interesting to see that live. It sucks because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that plays music like this. Like John could play music like this if he wanted to, absolutely. But that's not like what he does. But I would love to go see a concert of just blues music, and it sucks that we don't get that opportunity.
Does Billy do this type of song, like these types of songs in his live shows? Like, does he ever go there?
No,
I think that would be the guy, the old soul in a young body.
True.
Gary Clark Jr.
You're right.
Oh yeah, that's
plays
true.
a lot of blues music. I would say he's like Stevie Ray Vaughan's like successor, if not, like John Mayer and things like that.
That's fair. That's fair for sure. Well, what did you guys have for rankings? Trey, lead us off.
Yeah, I gotta give it a solid 7. I enjoy it. And I like Stevie Ray Vaughan's music probably more so in like one-off scenarios in a playlist or in a bar. Like you said, it's great bar music. But is this something I want to sit down and listen to it like as an album, like over and over again? Not so much, but it's still really good. So I gave it a 7.
Okay, I like the explanation. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'd also give it a 7. I think it's a good out. Like, say if you're having let's say a barbecue, right? That is an album you could put on in that setting. I feel like, it doesn't have to be like super attentive listening, right? But it is a vibe that I think people could get on board with, at least parts of the album. But yeah, solid 7 for me. Glad to have listened to Stevie finally.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I think it's fucking phenomenal and probably my favorite Stevie album. I don't know. I'd have to go back and re-listen to the disco. That's what I call discographies. So I'd have to go back and re-listen. I'm actually like low-key kind of shocked that you guys rated it a 7. I thought it would be higher. What is it about Jimmy that you like more than Stevie? Because I so vehemently disagree. So I need to know why he sets himself apart. Trey, anything?
Yeah, I guess for me, it's less like it's not as comparable to me sound wise with everything else that's going on. Like it's not as four to the floor like blues music, just like a simple bass line, simple drums. Like there's a lot of other shit going on in those songs. That's like more entertaining that I enjoy more. And I also like
Jimmy songs.
Yeah, and I also like Jimi Hendrix's voice a lot more. I love Jimi.
Really? Interesting.
It's awful in all the best ways. Like it's not good, but like Jimmy. It's just like a guy who's it's Jimmy. It's just like super passionate. I prefer Jimi Hendrix for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony.
And I like his songwriting a lot more too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That I can see.
Yeah.
That I think there's more substance to Jimmy's songs, but I think that Stevie has a way better voice. Anthony?
Yeah. I mean, the original. He feels like the original. You know, I mean, like BB King is an artist I've not listened to a lot of, but I know that that's the guy that most people point to as like the OG blues head. But like Jimmy, just the electricity of his performances and of his songs and his technical abilities. You know, I mean, it just I'm just so wrapped up in Jimi Hendrix because that was like the first. I mean, that was some of the first records I ever got were Jimi Hendrix records, and just listening to him and just like that sound resonates with me so much now that it's hard for anybody to kind of get to that level with me personally. But like I said, I don't dislike Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's just I'm curious to see. I mean, I'll have to dig into his what'd you call it, disco or discog?
Yeah, his disco.
Disco.
Yeah.
I'll see what it's about, you know, because I'm again very open to saying how ignorant I am about it, but yeah, Jimmy's in a league of his own.
One thing that's really interesting, this is probably one of the first artists of like my lifetime where when I was a kid, Jimmy was like God to me. Like I read Jimi Hendrix biographies. It was the first artist like before even Nirvana that I was like, this is the guy. This is my favorite artist. This will always be my favorite artist. And then Stevie came along and I was like, okay, I like this better. That's like it's probably one of the only times that's ever happened to me in my life. I mean, maybe Fish and Grateful Dead, but I really started getting into them around the same time. But yeah, I was the same way with Jimmy. Like, and Jimmy still is such an enigma and so special and unique. And you're right, he was the first, really. Like, was BB King? When was BB King popular? Was that in the 80s or was it before that?
Let's see.
I think 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Because I mean, Jimmy, like to me, Jimmy playing blues music like basically in the 60s is fucking wild to me, but I think it's great. You know, he did it in a very special way.
Yeah, I think all roads lead back to BB King. You know, and even potentially Elvis in a way. You know, I mean, like that time period of just presenting guitar music differently. I think because you're coming off of all of that commercial success, but then you got people who are sharing life experiences, and that I think is where that soul comes out of that type of music.
Yeah, very much so. Damn, BB King was born in 1925 and lived until 2015. 89 years old. Jesus
He
Christ.
probably played.
I think he played shows pretty much until he died.
That's fucking insane. Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, that was Texas Flood. Stevie Ray Vaughan. If you haven't listened, please go listen. Great fucking album. But let's get into Rides or Dies. Had some interesting picks this week from all three of us. I think very kind of not reminiscent of the music we're listening to. I would say so. Anthony, you start us off.
So this song, it's called Sugar Man. It's by an artist who goes by the name of Rodriguez. No relation. But there's an interesting story about this guy. And there's a documentary, if y'all haven't seen it, listeners, check it out too, called Searching for the Sugar Man, where it breaks down this guy's career because he made this album as a one-off, I think. He might have made a couple others, but he did not have commercial success at all in the United States. And then he basically retired from playing music and then went back to work. And then some years later, this album gains massive popularity in South Africa to where they are like celebrating him as this unknown artist that no one could ever find or no one knows anything about him, but they play this music regularly. So wanted to kind of share that story and bring the song because he does play in that kind of same vein as a Stevie Ray Vaughan or a very bluesy kind of artist and super talented guy. But was curious to know, had y'all seen that documentary? Have you heard anything about this guy?
Nope.
Excellent.
Nothing.
No, I just assumed it was your dad.
My dad can sing,
Maybe
but
an
not
uncle or something.
an instrumentalist. No.
Very nice. Yeah. Trey, what did you think?
I really liked it. It's definitely gives like a 60s I don't know, like singer-songwriter, but like has dosed or whatever a couple times.
Yeah.
Is like having fun up there. I really like the end, like the panning and like the weird like echo thing. It's a Rides for me, by the way. Spoiler alert. Like the panning kind of that they do and like the back and forth. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, Rides. Would listen to more.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. I thought it was really cool. Thought it was not something I expected. I gotta let my cat out of the room. But yeah, Hard Rides for me. I thought it was very cool, and I would definitely listen to more. That story is really interesting. What is the documentary called?
Searching for the Sugar Man. Either The Sugar Man or Searching for Sugar Man. But
yeah, I need to. I would definitely watch that 100%. But I really liked it. I mean, it's very old school sound to it, old school vibes. So super enjoyable.
Beautiful.
You want me to go next so you can let the cat out of the room? Yep. All right. So the song that I picked was it was Death Stick or Dead Stick, excuse me. Dead Stick by King Gizzard and the Lizard with Death Stick.
Get around.
And that's what they call cigarettes. That's what they call cigarettes in Star Wars. You want to sell some death sticks?
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
Wait, time out. Before you finish,
any death sticks.
Did I send you that video of that guy playing the Cantina music to Freebird? Please tell me I did.
Yeah, you absolutely did. It's hilarious. It kind of rips, honestly.
It so rips.
Okay, so it's called Dead Stick. It's by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Friday was a disappointing day for me. Let me tell you why. I went to bed thinking that there was a new JID album and a new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album coming out on Friday. And so I woke up on Friday all excited to have a beautiful little music morning.
And neither of those things were true.
Neither of those things were true. I was wrong. There was a new single from both of them. So this is the single from King Gizzard. So if you didn't know, their upcoming album Phantom Island, which is not coming out until June, by the way, it's not even like it's fucking close. I don't know how I botched that. I think I just misread something. But their upcoming album Phantom Island is going to be similar to Flight B741, but it's being recorded with a full orchestra.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they're actually touring this summer with a full orchestra at select dates. So, yeah, King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard continues to be the best touring band in music. So, yeah, what y'all think?
I got to say, man, like, King Giz, they are doing shit proper right now, or as Amanda would say, doing shit proper. And I gotta say, they fucking rock. And I kind of put everybody on to King Giz. I was kind of the first King Giz fan. I saw them like very early on, 2014 Bonnaroo actually, and then I probably texted Trey and was like, "Yo, check out this band." So I kind of take credit for Trey being into them.
I don't even know if you came to that show until you started getting free Red Bull. So
I definitely did, and I think I rallied the troops to go to that show actually. So I was like pretty early on to King Giz, which like, look, let's not make a big thing out of it, you know, whatever. It's not like anything I need to be sucked off for, but
I think you should be sucked off for it personally.
Do you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think if someone's early on King Giz, they should get sucked off for that.
Nice. Okay. I thought it fucking rode. I mean, King Giz rocks, man. They're so good. And honestly, like, not super into the Bonnaroo lineup this year, but that King Giz stuff they're doing is gonna be sick as fuck, man. And they're playing. So what they're playing? They're only playing the Witch stage one day. And then they're playing a smaller stage. What stage they're playing? It's got to be like this or that, right?
Yeah,
this
playing,
or that tent.
They're playing this tent one day. And then they're playing. So they're playing a day set, a night set, and then a late night set. Which is pretty cool. And I have a feeling they'll probably pop up and do some random stuff all over.
Yeah, the Sunday one is the Witch stage set, which I think is at like 5:30, which will be really fucking cool.
Yeah, that Friday, Bonnaroo, Anthony, you should really consider trying to make it to that.
Friday the 13th. Tipper too.
Is it Friday the 13th?
Nice.
Yeah, Tipper's playing. King Giz is playing. There's a bunch
for sure.
Yeah, I would do it if I was going to be around here.
Yeah,
it'll be sick.
Anyway.
Hard rides for me, and shout out to King Giz sponsor us because I've been holding it down since day one for real. So let us know.
Definitely.
Well, you'll take either.
Yeah, or one of the
sponsors suck me off.
Yeah, Anthony, what'd you think?
The song rides. I got big time celebration vibes. Like I do want to see this band. I'm just interested to see. Because you talked last time when we did Flight B741, like they do different types of sets. So so you said morning, afternoon, or midday, afternoon, and a night set. That's kind of their setup.
Afternoon, night, like a regular, like probably I think
7:45 to like 9 o'clock.
And then a late night, like a 12 to 2.
So
that one.
If you were telling somebody who had never seen them to pick one of those, what would you say, Trey? And Blake,
I
I
would probably
guess
say
I'll
go
ask both of
see.
y'all since y'all are
I would say go see the Blake night.
Blake night.
Like that, yeah. I mean, obviously I would say late night just because everything's better at night,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Especially on the farm, like shit gets weird when the sun goes
Uh-huh.
down.
That's
So
kinda what I'm
all
thinking, too.
yeah, always at night.
Okay.
For
If it
sure.
was, but second place in that, I would say go
Morning?
see the day
Yeah.
set when the sun's
Uh-huh.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be like the one-off way to see them, where you may not catch a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also want to mention too that just their fidelity is so electric and so like
Mm-hmm.
it's so off, but not like displeasing at all. Like
It's fuzzy.
yeah, it has that distortion that again, it's not distracting and it just fits their sound really well. Good pick.
Fuck yeah. Well, I picked a Cushion Orange Juice 2 song. So before I tell you guys the song, how do you feel about the concept of Cushion OJ 2? Is it too classic to make a sequel to? What are your thoughts?
I love it. I think in these trying times, we need to harken.
The economy is in shambles.
The economy's in shambles.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice to harken back to a moment of youth, and Cushion OJ, the original, is nice. And I think that if they didn't do it right, it would be not cool. But I feel like, because I listened to the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. I think for the most part, he really nailed the sound. His bars are pretty sick. It's the first new Wiz Khalifa project I've listened to in forever. And I think it is deserving of the title of Cushion Orange Juice 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anthony, did you listen to the whole thing?
Halfway through, I forget what happened. I listened to the first half and then something stopped me. So I haven't gone in the second half, but I get the vibe and it feels like it did, but also with a fresh spin and new features too. A lot of features I didn't recognize hardly any of the features. I don't think I recognized one of them, honestly. But I like that. Again, he's using his platform to put up his guys, but it still has that smoothness. Cushion OJ, the original, it's very smooth. We could definitely do it at some point too. But yeah, interesting. Time to put it out too, because I feel like you could have waited 3 days and put it out on 420. That would have been like
true. I didn't think about that.
Nice little touch, but
We put it on a 420 weekend, though.
yeah, no, I agree
true.
from a business standpoint. Put it out when music's getting released. But the thing that I saw before you had sent me the album, I didn't even know it was being released. But I saw I was scrolling on Instagram and saw Wiz with a big giant chalice, pouring orange juice in it, and I just thought, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, he's shouting out the Cushion OJ, but sure enough, number 2.
Yeah, I thought, and look, Wiz fans, like hardcore Wiz fans, because I have a friend who is obsessed with Wiz, and he always talks about how much he hates his albums, and like only listens to mixtape
Right.
Wiz, and so his albums have not been particularly well received. But I thought Cushion OJ 2, I thought it was great. I mean, it fit the vibe of Cushion OJ perfectly, and I was very shocked at how well he fit the vibe. And I picked 5-star for my rides or dies because I love Gunna. One of my friends has historically given me a ton of shit because I keep calling Gunna the hip hop savior, and that he is going to save the current state of hip hop because I love his voice. I love his aura, as the kids say, as the Gen Zers say. And I think he's great. And I fucking love this song. And even Trey, spoiler alerts, texted us and said, I even like the Gunna song. So
put some pressure on you.
that
Trey.
being said, yeah, Trey, what'd you think? Trey's like, actually, I re-listened. Sucks.
Yeah, and then when you said that you thought it was good, I now think it was bad. This song rides. This song rides. It's great. I'm not the biggest Gunna fan, and I think Gunna sounds great on this thing. So
100%.
Yeah,
so smooth too. Just
he's smooth with it. It's a perfect little hook. Yeah. This song rides.
Well, I'll say this: I love a lot about this track, but Gunna honestly is not one of them. It's for me.
Oh my god,
it's so slurry.
You're such an old man.
I wrote tired rap. Like, why is Gunna so tired? Wake up!
He's
dude.
sleepy, bro. He's smoking. He's tired.
He's high as
He's
shit.
barely
push and the orange juice. That's a lot of sugar in that thing. The sugar comes down like he's tired, bro.
His insulin is spiking right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, like I said, I like the song, and again, it's so nice to hear fresh Wiz that works, But like, it is kind of scary when I see Cushion OJ 2 because of Rolling Papers 2, ONIFC 2, not bangers at all. You know, like really missed the mark. But I think whatever he had to do to take time off, maybe yoga and hiking, like he's saying in this track, you know, whatever he's doing, stick with it, you know, because I think that
Yeah.
Wiz could be coming back. Who knows? I mean, in a sense, like as in we can trust the shit he's putting out now. Hopefully.
Yeah. I will say it was interesting. This was I need to disclaim this for everybody listening. Years ago, 2015 maybe, I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast years ago. And it was many years ago, and Wiz was on it, and he was saying that like he smokes so much that when he's sober, he feels like he's fucked up. Like, which I thought was the most insane shit I've ever heard. But like, I also knew kids in high school and college that like I could never, and I was never a big weed guy, but like I could never picture smoking weed and like going about my day. And Wiz is like, yeah, I bodybuild, I work out, I hike, and like I smoke before every single thing. Like that is what I do. That's how I feel normal. I just thought that was bizarre.
Right.
Like, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of people, man. That was me for like 4 or 5 years.
Crazy to me.
It was
crazy.
It was pretty cool because you didn't really care what was going on. You're just kind of like, oh, hi. This is
I
fun.
feel like going to the gym while I was high would give me an anxiety attack. Be like, why are these people doing this?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Do that.
Why are they lifting weights right now? What is the point?
You gotta find the balance, you know, because you push it. It's like you have people who say, "Oh yeah, microdose," and then take a microdose and you're fucking full on tripping, you know. And it's like you could overdo yourself, and then you got to have a backup plan. But you do the just right amount, then you can do things that you like to do, and it can increase a lot.
I took an edible this weekend for the first time in a very long time, and let me tell you something. It was pretty cool.
Was it?
Yeah, it was pretty great. I actually had a really good time. I was surprised. It was awesome.
All right.
It was from a legal store here too. It was legal. I purchased it from a smoke and vape shop here in Columbia, Alabama.
That's insane.
I know.
Famously, I've told this story many times in this pod, but I took an edible one time on an airplane and listened to a Tool song, and it sent me into an absolute fucking panic, and I had to turn it off. So, not for me. Okay, so movie pick, Trey, you rolled drama, and you picked The Godfather. So tell us a little bit about it. Before you tell us a little about it, just give me a one or two word answer. Godfather 1 or Godfather 2? I have not watched the second. But so just pick one or two.
One.
Okay.
That was a one-word answer.
Anthony?
Yeah.
Well, so just a short story is I thought I had seen The Godfather, but I'm pretty sure, and this was a long time ago because somebody showed it to me. I think that they showed me a different. So like there's a collection of movies like this where you have Goodfellas and Casino and these mob movies, right? And a lot of the same actors. Heat is another one. Al Pacino's in that. So I had not seen this before. You know, and I thought I had, because if you would have asked me during the podcast last week, I would have said, yeah, I've seen it, but no. So first watch for me, and like, I'm was going to go into number 2 tonight, but not because we're recording late. But yeah, I'm about to watch all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So first off, Heat was going to be my action movie pick. By the way, Heat.
Nice.
Heat is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I haven't seen Heat. Heat.
So when I lived in Birmingham before. We had like a movie club, so every Wednesday night, me, Zach Courtney, and our friend Nathaniel we would pick a movie, kind of like what we do here. We'd rotate picks. We'd all get together and watch a movie. It was awesome, but Heat was one that our friend Nathaniel, who usually brought more like artsy type films, he was like, "Oh, we got to watch Heat," and then I didn't think it was gonna be good, and then it was a banger. Nice. But anyway, The Godfather. I picked this because obviously it's like an all-time drama. I did not know that. I assumed both of you had seen it before, so I thought it would kind of lead to discussion, you know, in a different way. But there's so much to unpack with this movie. There's so many big epic scenes. You know, that scene in Italy is just so beautiful. The actors that are in here, you know, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, I don't know how you pronounce that, Robert Duvall, Caan, thanks. Like Diane Keaton is in this, like, you know, like everybody that's in this movie is just like, and this is the beginning of their career. There's also a really good TV show called The Offer that has Miles Teller in it as the head producer. It's a mini series. but it's about like how they got The Godfather to be made, because there's a lot of controversy in getting it made. Like Frank Sinatra was not happy with basically being portrayed in the film.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
there was, there was a whole issue with like the Italian like discrimination league. I forget the name of like the activist group in New York. They didn't want the film to get made because like they just didn't want Italians to be thought of as like, you know, mafiosos and things like that. But I mean, the dialogue in this movie is written so well. Like every line is just like has you like hanging on to it. I love The Godfather. I love The Godfather 2, and I like The Godfather 3. Like, I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say it is.
Yeah, people say it sucks ass.
It's not that bad. It's really not.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, but yeah, what'd y'all think on your first watch of The Godfather?
Yeah, so I will say I did not care for The Godfather. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was.
What is it that he says?
It insists upon itself.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
So, do you want to know something? So, Seth MacFarlane revealed this recently, like a few months ago, that he, during college, he was in a some film course, and they had to pick a movie. And I'm butchering this because I don't remember the movie, but it was a movie that his professor had told them to watch and essentially write a review about. And he wrote a positive review, and his professor said the movie insists upon itself. And Seth got so mad because he was like, "What does that fucking mean? Like, you can't write a counter argument to that because it doesn't make any sense, but it also makes perfect sense." Like, and The Godfather does kind of insist upon itself, but it does it well. And I think like this is my one gripe with the movie. I do not like how they sometimes translate the Italian and sometimes don't. And I know why they do it, and I understand, but the thing that bothers me is the scene at the diner should have been translated. I don't give a shit how short the dialogue was. It was an important moment. It's the titular moment of that movie, and it bothers the fuck out of me that I had to look up what they were saying because I wanted to know what they were saying. And like, I understand it adds to the tension, right? Because you're more focused on their body language, the way they're delivering things, right, than what they're saying, right, which I completely respect and understand. But I wanted to know what they were saying. And like, you guys would be surprised how little French and Italian overlap there is. So I was catching nothing. I wasn't catching anything in that conversation. So
I'm surprised.
But I thought, like, here's what I thought. I thought it was amazing. Marlon Brando. I wish there was more Marlon Brando because he is I know this is Al Pacino's like breakout role. He's phenomenal, but Marlon is, holy shit, what an actor, dude. Like, just so phenomenal. I love the scenery. I loved everything about it. I am a little confused why people consider this like the greatest movie of all time, because it's like, I'm pretty sure it's the #1 rated movie on IMDb. And every time you talk to somebody, they're like, this is the greatest film ever. And I don't really understand that. I rated it 5 stars. I think it's phenomenal. But like, doesn't that seem a little extreme to you guys, or am I missing something? Do you think I need to rewatch it a few times before I can digest like why people think that, or am I just like ignorant?
Well, it's made in 1972, you know, and like to have a movie that's this elaborate and big, you know, for that time period, like this movie is 3 hours long, but I mean, it goes, you know, like it doesn't drag. It doesn't feel like it drags. I think it has the right pace for the story that it's telling, but it's kind of found its way into that slot, and there's not a lot that I think, at least for the old heads, you know, who do say that that's the best movie ever, to surpass that, you know, because Francis Coppola, his movies are all bangers. You know, I love a lot of his movies, and they all have that very ideal aesthetic for the story that he's telling, you know, whether it's The Outsiders, whether it's this, you know, I mean, except for the most recent
and he
one.
directed,
what was that?
He directed the second one, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I would,
okay.
Yeah. But these movies breathe, you know, I think like that's what cements, like in my mind, my favorite movies, there's a lot of moments where there is no dialogue and there's just scenery, or there's just, you know, folks walking, in a sense where you can just really digest the atmosphere of the film itself. And the score really carries this too. You know, it's very simple, but it does, it's iconic in a sense, right? But
yeah,
I was gonna say too, yeah, I had an interesting experience with the subtitles because I found this movie off of, you know, my sources where I find movies, and as I was watching it, we get to that scene in the diner. I'm like, wait, I have to know what the fuck they're saying. So I'm like, Google translating, that's only getting me a sentence, or two, and then I just Google search, like the Godfather and sub.
What do they say?
Oh, I just wanted to know if they were purposely not in there or not, because I just couldn't tell. Because I'm like, now I'm gonna have to go buy the movie, which I did end up doing, and I had Amazon credit, so I didn't really pay.
Nice.
But yeah, the intentional subtitles, just really get you thinking about what they're saying, and also it may just motivate you to go learn Italian. But
True.
so what the fuck did they say? Did you?
So it's basically generic. It's like generic dialogue about like what I did to your father, like had to be done because he was, he's slipping and he's out of line, and then it was like it's very basic dialogue. Like it's not super important, but it was enough to where like I wanted to know what they said. Yeah, it's basically him explaining why he did what he did, and Mikey being basically like I disagree essentially. But yeah, I mean, still a great scene, right? Like, and the fucking murders like are crazy. They're brutal shit, but so good. It's so good.
Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. There was one thing that I found really interesting was that during the wedding procession, I guess you would say, they're walking down the street. There is a person in a wheelchair, and there's a person on the side of the wheelchair that is literally his role is the wheel spinner. And I'm like, that's so weird. Why wouldn't you just push the wheelchair? But like they just got guys just like actually manually rolling the wheel. But that was just a little comical thing that I pointed out. I was like, that's just awesome.
I thought it was there's two things that I thought were really interesting when he was in Italy and he was basically like, where are all the men? And the guy was like, oh, they all died from vendettas. I was like, damn, that's fucking brutal. Then also, I also thought it was really funny that like his hot Italian wife gets murdered and then he just goes back to like this basic white chick and he's like, we need to get married and have babies now. Like that was just his immediate bounce back. It's like, I'm gonna go ahead and take option B. Yeah. Like, let's go ahead and go.
We gotta make some kids. We gotta make some soldiers.
Right. Yeah. Also, interesting fact I read, the last shot of the movie where it's her face, right? Where she clearly realizes what has happened and she looks very like upset about it. There was an alternate cut that was basically a more optimistic ending where she's seen lighting candles, whether I think it may be in a church or something like that, but basically lighting candles and doesn't see that happen, doesn't see that moment where they all come in and basically congratulate him for being the new head of the mafia. And I thought that was really interesting that they ended up going with the more depressing ending, but it probably leads way to Godfather 2. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. And I would really like to, I really, really want to watch the second one. Second one's 3 hours and 20 minutes. Like,
you're basically there.
Just take an intermission like it was meant. And then just watch one part one night and one part the next night.
Let me tell you how much I love you, Trey, and respect your opinions. I started this shit at 11 p.m. last night because I was like, I got to get through this and I got to be focused. And I was so full for the Mexican food that I had ate earlier in the day that I didn't drink any alcohol. I didn't have a beer or anything. No popcorn. I was just locked in. Locked into the movie.
The Godfather.
I rocked off the Godfather. No phone, no popcorn, no alcohol.
Well, except for the phone part.
Except for when I had to translate that scene.
Right.
Otherwise.
Well, this is originally written as a book. Mario Puzo wrote this giant book called The Godfather, and I think that's where all these
I've read the book.
Yeah, there you go. Right. I have the audiobook and my dogs have listened to it. I have not listened to the entire thing, but I've gotten
nice.
But
nice.
But that's out there too.
It's very pretty great. Cool. I would recommend that you watch The Offer, both of you. It's great. Miles Teller does a killer job. It's funny too.
Should we do it after? A lot more. Like, should we watch it after we have seen part 2 and 3?
You don't have to. No, it's just about getting The Godfather made.
Oh,
nice.
It's about getting it made. It doesn't even like it shows it filming and stuff like that. There's like interactions with like Marlon Brando, not the real one, but a guy playing Marlon Brando.
So it's like a reaction.
He's dead, right? Yeah, he's dead.
Do you think that Frank Sinatra was actually a bitch?
Yes.
You think he was a crybaby bitch?
I think he kind of was a little bit of a crybaby bitch.
Crybaby pussy. Okay.
I'm not like a Frank Sinatra guy. I will say it's nice cooking music. I do like to listen to Frank Sinatra when I cook sometimes.
It's a different period of time, because like that what do they call it, the Rat Pack? Like those guys, Sammy Davis and Frank Sinatra, and these guys say, like, I don't think they're incredibly groundbreaking artists, honestly. Like, I think that they're very successful artists, and they got platformed at the right time in New York City, where everybody wants to see these guys. But I think that they just became the guys to see, not necessarily for groundbreaking stuff. That's just
I want to be in the movie. Please, Godfather, I want to be in the movie. Please. Like, shut the fuck up, man. That was kind of like, honestly, low-key, kind of like Trey coming back to the pod. It was like very similar vibes.
All right.
And Trey came to me on the day of my daughter's wedding and was like, I have one request. I want to be back on the pod. And I was like,
you gotta
I'll let it slide.
I'll let it slide. How that worked.
I'll let it slide.
All right.
All right. So next week, it is time for everybody's favorite segment. And Trey, you have the album pick, correct?
I do have the album pick. Have you put the things in the spinny?
I have already put the things in the spinny. Hang on. I got to do screen, right? Chrome tab window. Let's do window share. Okay.
All
so
right.
The picks for album, just so everybody knows: female solo artist, male solo artist, band with female lead, band no longer together, and band still touring. Trey, are you ready with the tune?
All right. The wheel of fate and time. The wheel of fate and time. The wheel of fate and time. All right.
Male solo
artist.
What do you got?
Here's the deal, man. We haven't done hip hop in a while, I feel like.
True.
But also, I have another very interesting, what's considered a solo artist album that you wouldn't think of. So, which would you prefer?
I want the curveball.
Yeah, I'll take the curveball.
Okay. It's Garcia by Jerry Garcia, where Jerry Garcia played every instrument except for the drums on the album.
Fuck
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Garcia by Jerry Garcia. Very nice. All right, Anthony, are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. This is going to be fun as
so.
Thank you.
We're doing
because this is a
please be David
just gave me a massive bonus right here.
So
first off, these are great. These are great categories. You crushed it.
Thank you. So these are movies that we have not reviewed previously because these are all directors that we have definitely done movies on. So this is a movie that Anthony has to pick from one of these directors we have not done. All right, are you ready?
All ready.
Trey?
The wheel of fate and time. The wheel of fate and time. The wheel of fate and time.
Okay.
Boom.
Fuck.
Tarantino.
All right.
What do you got for us, Anthony?
There's so many, and I don't think we've done a Tarantino movie. So everything is on the table right here. I just watched Pulp Fiction the other day, so that one is off my table, even though it's a classic. They're all classics. So I want to give you two options because let me find out exactly what that movie is called.
While you're looking this up, I do just want to make it known now that I do not particularly care for Quentin Tarantino as a director.
Really?
All right.
So yeah,
okay.
That's it. That's
no, we did.
I love Pulp Fiction though.
Yeah. Oh, we did Inglourious Bastards, so I have to take that back.
Yeah.
So okay.
Oh damn, I like that.
I want to give you two options: one that he's written, one that he's directed. Unless I have to do directed.
I think you have to do
I
directed.
don't know. Was it specified?
If the written option is whatever that movie is that he has that he wrote and didn't direct, what is it
True
called?
Romance.
Oh no, not
that would be one.
Let's do directed.
Okay,
Let's do directed.
Let's do Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because they just
All
announced that they're going to do that Fincher's going to do the spinoff sequel to it, which ironically was announced on April Fool's Day, and Blake sent it, and I was highly skeptical. Just so you know,
yeah, Anthony was like, "I don't believe this."
I will wait till tomorrow.
He said, "You got
I will wait till tomorrow." But yeah, let's do Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right, hell yeah! So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Garcia by Jerry Garcia. Good
Awesome.
shit.
Good job.
Yeah. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you when we see you. Guys, always a blast. Stay on real quick so I can show you some things, and then everybody else, we'll see you in 2-ish weeks, I think.
Peace.
Bye.